This time, I have some thoughts on the V7 and take a ride out to Dunham Massey National Trust. Now before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.
So as I said, today we're going to Dunham Massey. Dunham Massey is further north. It's the Attendant that went to the other day. It's up near Manchester. Like Attingham, it's also a deer park, but it's quite a different layout. It's almost like a large walled garden. Attingham feels larger and it's more undulating in the parkland. Dunham Massey's a little bit more formal. It's got woodland. The deer there are smaller, and there must be a different breed than the ones at Attingham. They're very much more approachable. These sort of tight, twisty country roads show up the good and bad points of the V7. It's fairly nimble and the brakes are okay, and it was very torquey, so it drags out of corners really well. And at these very low, I keep the low RPMs low, and it's very smooth. But there is that sort of 55-mile-an-hour point in top where it's a little bit buzzy, and sometimes you can bounce off that a little bit, and that can sort of annoy you. You just feel it through your feet, but it's not terrible, but you do notice it. At higher speeds, it tends to disappear. I think they really set this bike up with motorway speeds in mind, really. When you do hit around 65, 70, the engine's really smooth. V7, you can self-service pretty easily actually. It's not at all a complicated machine. As long as you're reasonably competent, it's not too difficult at all. Even the valves, I mean, if you want to service the overhead valves on these bikes, on the V7 in particular, you don't even need to remove the petrol tank. You can gain access to them very easily. And again, there's no bodywork, so draining the oil and changing the filter is also a doddle. I mean, our CB500X is a wonderful bike, but you know, if you want to change the spark plugs on that thing, you know, your best table, the best part of half a day. If you want to change the spark plugs on the V7, you know, 5 minutes, and that includes time to have a cup of coffee afterwards.
There's been a settlement on Dunham Massey site since the time of the Domesday Book. But the house itself was built in the 1600s. Probably the oldest building on the site is the mill. This was built in the 1350s. As you might expect, the house has seen a great deal of history. It was even used as a hospital during the Great War. There was even once a railway station on the site, but this closed in '62, and with the owners falling on hard times, they gave the house and grounds over to the National Trust in 1976. The site contains 45 listed buildings, as well as a deer park and some formal gardens, but the vast majority of the site's 190 plus acres are taken up by the woodland. Here you find the deer, and some very ancient trees too, some of the oldest in England, or rather the northwest of England at least. It's an ideal venue for easy and relaxing walks. The terrain is fairly straightforward and easy to walk, not too undulating. And to our surprise, at the end of the day, we actually saw a parakeet that we assume is living feral in the park. Life, it seems, is sometimes full of surprise.